When you have a good story and you have mechanics, then you have a goddamn masterpiece. Because Lies of P, it is a brilliant work of art. Welcome back to my channel, welcome back to BluBlu Gaming. Today I want to talk to you about Lies of P and the thousand reasons why I feel like you should definitely play this game and give it a try. So first of all, like I was saying, the story plot is actually very interesting, and not just that, but basically every single NPC that you're gonna meet is somehow attractive to you, interesting, mysterious, and you want to find out the story behind him. When you're looking about the fact that you're playing with Pinocchio, when I first heard this before seeing the actual game, I was like, well, Pinocchio must be a little child, you know, like a puppet child. He must be carved of wood, and he must be like some sort of naive little kid and stuff like that. But if you take a closer look at Lies of P, the character that they built, Pinocchio looks actually very elegant, very posh, he's very fashion, and also he has a very aggressive take on things. Like when you hit an enemy, you can definitely feel like you're really smashing him to pieces, you're really hitting very hard. So I like this bad boy look on Pinocchio created in Lies of P. Not to mention, take a look at Geppetto and the way he is dressed. I like that the developers thought that we should have more elegant people around us, and they dressed them in a very nice way. And what I like about Geppetto, he seems to be this loving father. He created all these puppets over there at the Hotel Krat. But what's interesting about him, you can feel there's some sort of weird vibe behind them. So to be able to manufacture a game that can actually have these elements, I feel like this is very powerful. Talking about the mechanics, I really like the fact that they rely a bit on parrying. However, parrying in Lies of P is the easiest of them all games that there are out there, in my opinion, because I tried to parry in Dark Souls 3 and it was a goddamn headache. You can potentially do that, but I feel like it's way more difficult. In Lies of P, it's very easy. You can easily understand and learn how to do that in maximum 5 minutes. And even if you're struggling, they added a piece of equipment. If you're putting on the stone that is repairing your weapon, basically you can parry without even knowing how to parry, just by holding the block button, which I find very interesting about the fact that they really thought about even noobs that would play this game. And it's actually a mechanic you need to document yourself on the internet. It's not that easy to find, you know, in case you need it. That being said, that leads me to the third point. What I want to underline over here is the fact that the weapons are really unique. Now, where do you find a game that you play with specific weapons that are very well thought about? They are so goddamn different, and there is such a huge variety. And not only that, but you can then craft some handles and you can assemble them whatever way you want. You can get some special interesting effects that you wouldn't expect that in the first place unless you start experimenting with them. So how about that? What game did you see that is actually doing that? For that reason, once again, this is a masterpiece. I find that very, very creative, and I would love to see games that implement more these sorts of things. Of course, you gotta be creative. Of course, how many ideas can you possibly have? But hopefully we're gonna see the developers in the future approaching these kind of ideas. Let's talk about the leveling up system. In less than, I think, 2 hours, I was already level 32. I actually shot a live stream, and then I had some issues. I had to go to solve my personal life, and because I was trying to fully complete Lies of P in one stream. But anyways, in less than 2 hours I was already level 32, went by King Flame Foco, something like that. You can easily level up, and it's very interesting the way you level up and the way everything is calibrated. You can never go way too overpowered, and the game still feels like a beautiful challenge. So I like that. I like the fact that you can level up fast, you can see some interesting effects from that leveling up, and still maintain the game as some sort of a challenge. So that is interesting also, because some games you level up way too fast and you become way too overpowered. Some games the leveling up is a struggle, and even if you level up, you don't feel like you really did anything. So you gotta take that into consideration in our beautiful review over here. Talking about creativity, how about the P organ, which is once again an interesting instrument and mechanic in Lies of P. You get this P organ, which is a weird heart, which you can basically once again level up and unlock some features in the game. Very, very interesting. That P organ, if you know how to level it up, you can make yourself a goddamn beast that nobody can actually touch. And it's interesting the effects they added over there, and it's interesting once again the way they managed to balance all these kind of things. So that brings me to the next point of view, which is the shortcuts. Christ, if you remember Bloodborne and Dark Souls, where you gotta go all the way and you got a lot of enemies slapping you, meanwhile going to the boss fight and you die, you can potentially die from the enemies. Like in Bloodborne, for example, before going to Ebrietas, you have some sort of an elevator. When you want to take that elevator, you have two blue creatures. If you don't kill them all the time, they can actually kill you. And even if you go downstairs over there before the boss, you have another 3 creatures. If they engage you, they can actually kill you. So that pisses me a lot. Not to mention Dark Souls 1 had terrible roads to actually go to get to the boss, and I know it was the early developing and it's the first time experimenting with these sorts of things. I understand this, but right now in the present moment we should have shortcuts leading us to the boss fights a bit more easier. So taking a look at Lies of P and Black Myth Wukong that implemented this system very easily and very successfully, I would say that that's a definitely interesting thing to look at. And the last thing I want to cover up is the fact that this is a game, Lies of P is a game where you don't actually get bored. How many games do you actually find that don't have like spaces where they need to fill it up just to make the game somehow make sense, and you just feel like you're walking through the dungeon or whatever map you're exploring and it just feels like it's uninteresting. You just feel like it's boring, you just feel like it's a filler. Well, Lies of P doesn't have that. There wasn't a single point in the whole game while progressing through it that you will feel that you get bored or the story doesn't make sense. In fact, as you advance furthermore, the story starts to make sense even more. So with that being said, Lies of P is a brilliant masterpiece and it does encourage you to exploration. You are curious about reading all the letters that you find underground, you are curious about talking to the NPCs, and you do not get bored, which makes it a beautiful masterpiece. If I would behave like IGN and have to give it a score, this for me is a 10 out of 10. Would I recommend this game to you? Definitely. Don't even think about it. Just buy it, play it, and the beauty of it is we are crafting better games with each year that passes by. Of course, I do relate to all the gamers when they say gaming is not fun anymore and blah blah blah, but however, this is a bit delusional because a lot of people on the internet are stating now we don't have any more pleasing games like we used to have in the old times, and I do not agree with that. We do have beautiful games, however they are becoming a rarity basically, because you have Lies of P for the year of 2023, you have Black Myth Wukong for the year of 2024. So yeah, it's not like before where you had 3 or 4 or 5 games that were good in the same specific year. It's becoming a rarity, so maybe that's a hint for us to appreciate the games that we play even more. Thank you so much for watching. Leave me a comment in the section below. I'm very curious, how do you feel about Lies of P? What other games would you recommend that would be at this specific level or even close to it? And I hope to see you in the next video. I hope you subscribed, you like the video, and have a beautiful day. Bye bye.